Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear students, how are you? I think all you are fine by Allah's mercy, and I am also fine by the grace of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and your prayer. Dear students, I think all you have passed your Eid vacation, Eid al-Azha, with joy and happiness. But dear students, I will express a matter of sorrow to you that uh, after seeing the answer script of IME of your last pre-test exam, some of your answer scripts shocked me highly because some of you couldn't identify the exact answer for especially for C and D type questions. It's a matter of regret for us because you are the candidate of this year, but your answer, your presentation are not according to the demand of board creative questions, and always we desire that you will get A plus in RST especially, and we are working in that way also. But please, I will request to all of you, please try to improve the state of your uh, quality in this subject especially. Otherwise you will not, it will be tough to get A plus in RST. So please, I will request to all of you, please try to solve the questions, especially the board questions, more and more, and so that you can realize the demand of the question and you can answer accordingly. Dear students, in our today's class, we will discuss on chapter 3, lesson 6 and 7, and already our syllabus has been finished from class 9 and in class 9 and 10, and now we are it is going the revised class of you, and after this revised class we will discuss about the board questions and the creative questions inshallah. So let us go to the class of today. Our today's class is on chapter 3, lesson 6. Lesson 6 is employer-employee relationship. Dear students, from this lesson, a very common question, especially for C or D type question, comes most of the time in the exam. For example, Mr. Sharif is working under the company of Mr. Rohim, but Mr. Rohim does not give the salary of Mr. Sharif in time, and most of the time he do misbehave with Mr. Sharif as he is the employee of Mr. Rohim. Thus, a very horrible situation sometimes arises between these two persons. So now the question, what types of relation should be maintained between this Mr. Sharif and Rohim, or what are the duties or responsibilities according to the direction of Islam should Mr. Rohim perform to Mr. Sharif, as Mr. Sharif is also a human being, though he is the employee of Mr. Rohim. So it is the question that, like these types of questions comes in the exam. So here the answer will be from this lesson of chapter 3, employer-employee relationship, and in this lesson it has been said some ayats of Al-Quran, some hadiths of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, behavior of Hazrat Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu with his servant during his visiting to Jerusalem. Hazrat Anas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was the servant of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Hazrat Anas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu expressed, you will find it in your textbook, Hazrat Anas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu was the servant of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for long 10 years. And about the behavior of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hazrat Anas radiyallahu ta'ala anhu expressed, I have served Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam for long 10 years, but during these long 10 years, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never uttered a single word like with me. That means he never annoyed with me. Even he never asked me, why didn't you do it and why did you do it? That means it was the behavior of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam with his servant Hazrat Anas radiyallahu ta'ala. It is the ideal. It is the model of the Muslims, model of the human being. So we should do our behavior with the servants, with the subordinates, with the employee class of peoples with the persons who are under who will do or act under us. We will do these types of behavior. That means we will always be helpful, kindful to these classes of people. It was the behavior of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is the model of Islam. And if we see the behavior of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala also, during the visiting to Jerusalem, we know, all you know the incident, most of you know the incident of the visit of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala to Jerusalem. When he visited Jerusalem, there was a servant of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala with him. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala shared the riding of camel with that servant, and Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala equally shared these facilities with his servant, though he was a servant of Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala. So it is unbelievable in this world, but Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala had done it as he was the follower of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as he was the ideal of Islam, model of Islam. So we will do these types of behavior with the servants and subordinates like Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala. And another hadith also, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, during his farewell pilgrimage speech, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked to his sahabis to forgive, to pardon the subordinate classes peoples. Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked, "O my sahabis, you always forgive the subordinates and your servants." Then some of the sahabis asked Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "O Prophet, how many times we will forgive the subordinates or our servants?" Then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam replied, 70 times a day. That means in a day you have to forgive them 70 times if it is needed. That means never do misbehave with the servant classes of people. Another most important hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you may write for the answer of this question. Rasulullah said, "You pay the wage of the workers before their sweat dries out." You pay the wage of the workers before their sweat dries out. It is the model of Islam. It is the behavior of Islam. Before drying out the sweats of the servants, we should pay their wage. It is the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This hadith is from Ibn Majah. And another also important hadith also from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah said, "You never give the task to the employee, to the servant, beyond their strength and capacity." That means don't impose anything upon them beyond their strength and capacity. That means as he is also a human being. That's why we have to think about him also as our brother, as a human being. We shouldn't be cruel. We shouldn't be inhuman as he is the servant, he is the lower classes of people. Never. That means as he is a human being, we should think about him as like as us. So always not to impose any work, impose any task, impose any burden that is beyond his strength and capacity. It is also a hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also another hadith of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I didn't write it here. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Don't engage them without fixing their salary before." That means if we want to engage them in the work, we must to fix their salary at first. So it is the rights of the servants, rights of the subordinates. As the Muslim, as a human being, as a follower of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if we follow these hadiths of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and from our stem, if Mr. Rohim would follow these hadiths, these models of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, then these types of horrible situation wouldn't arise in the life of Mr. Rohim and Mr. Sharif. So these types of behavior should perform by Mr. Rohim in this regard. And there is another hadith of Rasulullah. It is not only the duty of the master classes peoples, duty of the owner, the employee or the servant classes peoples also have some duties, some responsibilities to the masters or to their owners. For example, the servant classes peoples also will do good behavior with the owner, will show respect to them, because by his means Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arranged his bread and butter. That's why the worker classes people also should be respectful to the owner classes people. And even it is a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah said, that person will get double remuneration who will perform the duty of his master properly, and who will do the duty of his Lord or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala properly. That means the servant who will perform the duty of his master properly, and he will not do any misuse of the amanat of the master, as well as he will perform the ibadat of Allah. These classes of peoples, these classes of servants will get double remuneration according to the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, dear students, we will discuss about the next lesson, lesson 7. Now, dear students, we will discuss about the next lesson, lesson 7, ilm. There are some one or two more questions from this lesson. First one, meaning of ilm. Ilm means knowledge, to know, to be informed, to realize, to identify. These are the word meaning of ilm. Dear students, it's a common question and it's a controversial question to you. Some of the times when we ask, write down the meaning of ilm, then you will write the answer, the only word meaning of ilm. That means ilm means to know, knowledge, to be informed, to aware, etc. This is the word meaning of the word ilm. And when we ask what is ilm or what is called ilm, then you will write down the definition of ilm. And it is, what is ilm? The answer will be, ilm is to realize the exact condition or position of something. Again, I am repeating, ilm is to realize the exact condition or position of something is called ilm. It is the definition of ilm. So, what is ilm? This question's answer will be this one. Now, the importance of ilm. Dear students, it is a common question that ilm means knowledge, and achieving knowledge is important in all the religions, in all the ideologies, and for all the human being. They should realize, they should learn, they should acquire the knowledge, whatever is it. That is to identify the right and wrong thing, to realize or to understand the any good thing. We have to learn ilm or knowledge. But acquiring Islamic knowledge, it is important, and it is mandatory for all the Muslims, for male and female. Here I have written it is forced or obligatory for all. That is, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in a hadith, Talabul ilmi faridatun ala kulli muslimin or muslimatin. Acquisition of Islamic knowledge, knowledge of Islam is faraj for all the Muslims, male and female both. So it is faraj or mandatory for all the Muslims to acquire knowledge of Islam, the basic knowledge of Islam. And there is another importance we have written here, Iqra. It is the first word of Al-Quran. We know the first the first wahi to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the first 5 ayat of Surah Al-Alaq, and it was started with the ayat Iqra bismi rabbikal ladhi khalaq. And the first word Iqra, Iqra means read or learn. So by the first word of Al-Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given importance of learning knowledge, to attain knowledge at first, then to follow at them, or then to practice. So by these two things it is clear to us. That means knowledge achieving, it is important for us. Another importance also have that by achieving knowledge, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate our stand, our demand and our dignity. So by achieving knowledge, one can become dignified according to Al-Hadith. Now, students, now we will discuss about the kinds of ilm. These ilm are of two kinds here and two kinds here. That means ilm are of two kinds, ilm dini, ilm dunya. Ilm dini means religious ilm or deen related ilm. That means the ilm or knowledge through that we can learn the knowledge of deen, knowledge of Islam. For example, the acquiring knowledge of Al-Quran, Al-Hadith, Tafsir, Islamic ideology, Islamic literature or Islamic things. It is called ilm dini. And another one, ilm dunya. Dunya means mundane or earthly ilm. That means the knowledge through which we can attain the knowledge of earth, knowledge of world. For example, knowledge of mathematics, knowledge of science, physics, chemistry, etc. Through which we can do better, trying to do better in the earth. This is called the ilm dunya. And in another perspective, ilm are of two types: adorable ilm and avoidable ilm. Adorable ilm means acceptable or good ilm, those types of ilm or knowledge which can help a man to run a good life or better life, which are the helpful for humanity, helpful for society. Achieving these types of ilm or knowledge is adorable, or is likable, or is acceptable, and this is allowed in Islam. But as some types of ilm they have, that is called avoidable ilm or rejectable ilm. By these types of ilm, through which various types of harmful activities, various types of inhuman activities, various types of unsocial or nasty activities can be arise in our society. Acquiring these types of knowledge is avoidable. For example, achieving the knowledge of theft, knowledge of dacoity, or knowledge of bombing, etc. That will harm for the society, and that will harm in the life of human being. So dear students, from this lesson ilm, we have discussed the meaning, definition of ilm, importance of ilm, and the kinds of ilm. These are the important from this lesson. And from the previous lesson, we will try to understand the rights of the subordinate peoples and duties of the master classes people for making a better society, inshallah. Dear students, you will read the book line by line and try to identify the short questions and C and D type questions. Okay, Allah Hafiz. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.